Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 26 Beta 3 has been out for a few days, and iOS 18.6 Beta 2 has been out for a couple of weeks. But there's even more to talk about since the iOS 26 Beta 3 is out. What's new video. We'll talk about the latest Apple news and updates, as well as quite a few new features in iOS 26 Beta 3, and we'll talk about the overall experience. Not just my experience on the iPhone 16 Pro Max and iPad Pro, but your experience based off the YouTube community poll, where at the time of this video, there's over 26,000 votes and 264 comments. I've gone through all the comments to determine what the update is like for everyone, so be sure to stick around toward the end of the video where I'll read some of your comments as well. Now, Apple CarPlay is getting some NFL updates. It looks like NFL is being added with different apps so you can listen to audio and radio broadcasts on the go. So this is something that's currently showing up for the Bills, Bears, and Saints, but it looks like could be rolling out more over the next year or so. Now, this is pretty significant. Apple's Chief Operating Officer, Jeff Williams, is retiring. Apple announced it this week on their Newsroom app, and it's going to be a transition of the design team to Tim Cook. Now, Tim Cook will oversee this once he retires, and maybe there'll be a new Chief Operating Officer that takes over design as well, or maybe we'll get someone else to replace Johnny Ive. When he left, they sort of transitioned to Jeff Williams and never replaced him. So I would love to see someone else come in that's passionate about design, get things really right, but also this will be significant for other products as well. So hopefully we see a positive move from this change. I would love to see maybe someone, again, that's passionate about design, wants to make something a little bit different, and move Apple forward where we haven't seen for a little while. Also, Apple announced that there's 4 new arcade games launching on Apple Arcade in August, so you can see those here with the press release. I'll link it in the description below, but Worms Across Worlds, Let's Go Mighty Cat, and Everybody's Shogi, also along with Play-Doh World. So all launching on August 7th, it looks like, but I'll link this in the description below if you'd like to check it out as well. Apple also has their back-to-school promotion, which is now available in Europe. Similar promotions are live in the US, Canada, Singapore, India, and the UAE and Mexico, and basically give you a free accessory along with your purchase of iPad, MacBook, or iMac. So maybe you could get the AirPods Pro 2 or something else, maybe an Apple Pencil, along with your purchase for free. Apple is also working to get the blood oxygen feature back in the US. Basically, you don't have the option if you bought a watch after a certain date. While the sensor may still have the capability to measure blood oxygen levels, it's something that they can't activate if it's still there. Apple has asked a U.S. federal appeals court to overturn the current ban on using the sensor, according to Reuters. While there is no guarantee this will happen, it seems Apple should be able to work out how to get the feature back, whether that's by a licensing deal or just changing how it works overall. I know many people still want that feature back. So some older Apple Watches are still around because people still want that feature. Now, something we've had for a while in the United States may be coming to more countries very soon. If we go into the Apple Wallet app, the Apple account card may be coming to more countries soon based on back-end changes in code. So this is something Mac Rumors reported, so maybe we'll see this across more countries very, very soon. Also, one feature in iOS 26 that sort of flew under the radar is that cellular calls as well as SMS and RCS-based messaging will now be allowed in third-party apps in the European Union. This is likely due to the latest rulings on different things, allowing for third-party app stores and more, so it looks like that may be activated with iOS 26, but not around the rest of the world. I think at this point Apple should just open it up to everyone, but it looks like they're still holding out. And speaking of RCS updates are still not in iOS 26 that would allow for encryption. So that's something I know many people are looking forward to. I think we'll have it in the near future, but since iOS 26 is not complete yet, it makes sense that we don't have it. But if we go into Messages, when we scroll down to where RCS messaging is, if you have this, hopefully we'll have an encryption option very soon. This will allow for encrypted texts back and forth between Android and iOS and other devices, so I hope they turn this on very soon. iOS 26 Beta 3 has some significant changes, and the first thing is liquid glass. With the Beta 3 update, I mentioned how it was changed, but not as much as you may think in dark mode. So currently I'm in dark mode, and maybe if I go to Music on Beta 2 and Beta 3, we'll go here, you'll see that we have dark mode, and it's fairly similar. We still have that sort of glass effect on both. However, if we switch to light mode, it changes significantly. So if you're using dark mode, you may not see the change as much, but if we go into light mode, you can see it looks similar there, but as I scroll down, now it's more of a frosted glass effect. This varies from basically app to app. So if you're in music, it's one thing. If maybe you're in podcasts, it's another. You can see it's still fairly glass here. When we go down, you'll see that it's glass on the play area, but it's not as much down there, but it changes back and forth almost like it's a bug. So we don't know if this is maybe not finished at this point. I would think that at this point it's more close to finished than we would think, but it looks like it just sort of has bugs back and forth. So depending on the app that you're actually in, there is glass effect, and then others do not have it. So maybe if we go into the App Store, for example, let's do that here. You can see as we scroll down, again, it's more glass on beta 2, but less on beta 3. But again, if you go into different apps, some it hasn't changed at all. So it looks like it's still a work in progress. And I know Apple goes back and forth with that, but you can see things such as maybe the folders, they look mostly the same here. So it just depends on what you're doing. Basically, it's the same. They may change this, and Apple will continue to change the design as we go through betas prior to the public release. Now, there are a couple other things worth mentioning. So let me switch back to dark mode here. And one of the other things is when you go into the app switcher, it no longer has the effect where it sort of jumps through different applications. So sometimes it would swipe back through. Now it opens the most recent app you were in. So it's just slightly different as you bring your finger up or thumb up. Also in the control center, you can now see the decibel level again. So maybe if you're using AirPods, let's go ahead and connect those. Now I'm playing music, and if I go into the control center, you can see the decibel level. So this is something I use regularly that they took away in beta 2 that's been brought back. Maybe it was just a bug, but I try to make sure I don't go over 80 decibels too much, especially if maybe I'm mowing the lawn and it's loud. I want to make sure it's still not so loud that it could harm your hearing. So that's something I use all the time, and I'm glad to see that it's back. A nice little visual change or update is if we go to the lock screen, press and hold, you can see the top of the Customize button has the reflection of the color of the wallpaper above it. If I move to the last wallpaper, you can see it change there. Right at the top of Customize, it's just refinement. So I think we're going to see a lot more refinements with future updates here. If we go into Messages, within Messages, if you're using tapbacks and you have a background, sometimes you can see it animate a little bit when you change maybe a tapback. So I'll put haha, and sometimes it reflects into the background or bounces into the background. I don't know if this is a bug, but I have seen it, and it's just sort of a nice little touch there that you see from time to time. Also, something else in Messages, if maybe we scroll up to a picture I sent, if you press and hold, you can set it as a background. This was in previous betas, but I didn't mention it in previous beta videos. So it's a photo I took of Yankee Stadium when I was there the other day, and you can set it as a background if you'd like to. So we'll just do that. It should change to a background, and there you have it. It'll set like that. Give it a second, and if it works properly, it will set as a background. Sometimes it doesn't always work properly, though. If we go into Notes, maybe we want to select some text, you can see the overall bubble to select that text has been enlarged. Of course, it has that nice playful animation with it, and it pops up above so you can see exactly what you're pressing on. So this is a nice little update to make it easier to understand what you're pressing on and see it a little better. Within FaceTime, I actually took a screenshot the other day when I was talking to my brother, and the overall window had sort of an oval look to it. This is something I hadn't seen before, so there's an oval look here, and it's just a slight design change. If we go into music and we go into an album, if maybe we slide over, we've had delete and download before, but it was only a symbol. Now it actually is written out. So you'll see we had a symbol before, it's written out now where we can delete or download. And then if we swipe the other direction, it says playing next, where before it was just a symbol again. So we may see this changed again, but now it's actually a little clearer as to what it does. Within camera options, you can see that it says lens cleaning hints. They've actually moved it up and then removed the heading from it. So it's just in a slightly different place and cleaned up again where it's not duplicated. Within Mail, you can see that it says All Mail, and now it says All Mail Updated. Based on the category you're in, it will actually say what's updated. So if we go here, maybe we go to Promotions, now it says Promotions Updated just now. So it's a nice little change to let you know specifically what has been updated. Within Safari, it's slightly different this time around as well. In the upper right, we have a 3-dot menu, where before it had an outline around it. Now it's just 3 dots with a large circle. This one's a little bit less obvious, but the Files app has a slightly different color to it, and the same is true of the Photos app. There might be maybe a little bit more depth, especially in light mode. So if I switch over here to light mode, we'll switch over here as well. And you can see that with the Photos app, where it looks like it may be a little bit more saturated with Beta 3, and I think it pops a little bit better. Now, something they've brought back or implemented in a different way on the iPad is really great. One thing I missed with Beta 1 is if you went into Safari and then maybe you wanted to swipe to a different app, you couldn't do that just by swiping back and forth. You would have to swipe up in order to do it. Now you can use the swipe gesture back and forth, even in the windowed apps mode. So that's something you used to have to just be in full screen apps to do. Now it works in windowed apps. And with watchOS 26, they've made a slight update here as well. So once it goes into the password, you'll see that it's definitely more of a liquid glass look, and now they're oval. So this is nice that it's been updated like this, and hopefully we'll see more of the liquid glass carried forward in future versions with Beta 4. So we'll have to see if they make any significant changes to that. When it comes to the iPhone 17, the iPhone 17 Air could get 4 different colors. This year we could get a black, silver, gold, and blue. This is according to leakers Fixed Focus Digital and Majin Buu. So these are things that we could get maybe this year, a nice, maybe different blue color. One of my favorites was on the iPhone 15 Pro Max and maybe even the iPhone 13 with Sierra Blue. So I would love to see something like that, maybe some new colors, maybe orange or something else. But either way, it looks like we're going to get standard colors along with a blue color. Now, when it comes to releases this week, well, we got quite a few different ones. We had the Safari Technology Preview along with all the beta updates. And if we go to the Safari website, you'll see you can download the Safari Technology Preview, and the current version is 2.23. It was available on July 9th and allows you to test it out on macOS Tahoe and macOS Sequoia. Also, we got a firmware update for AirPods for the beta program. So if you have AirPods Pro 2, there's a new beta update, or AirPods 4 if you're using the beta, to version 8A5308B. I actually haven't had a chance to check this yet on mine, so let's go ahead and see if they've updated on their own. But if we scroll down, you can see currently I'm on version C, so I need to update these. So if you have the iOS 26 beta, you can enable the AirPods beta as well if you'd like to try that. But there is no way to sort of move them back and forth between betas or public versions other than just waiting. So you may not want to do that, as it has been a little bit problematic at times. Now, as far as upcoming updates, well, one thing we've been waiting for that I don't think we're going to get at this point is iOS 18.5.1. So at this point, it looks like Apple's just focusing on iOS 26, and we could see iOS 18.6 sort of take the place of 18.5.1, and Beta 3 I would expect to be out maybe next week, just along with maybe the public beta of iOS 26 as well. Typically, on the Monday after the Beta 2 release, maybe we'll get a re-release of iOS 26 Beta 3 re-release, and then usually a public beta as well. So we can expect those updates this week. We don't know if we need a re-release, but either way, we may see one. Also, iOS 18.6 Beta 3, so we should have another busy week of updates as well. Now, when it comes to the overall experience, well, many people are still on iOS 18.5 and quite frustrated that Apple hasn't updated it yet. I've heard different issues from my wife, from different family members, and other people, even online, saying that it's sort of unacceptable at this point that it's been this buggy. So hopefully we'll see a big change going forward with iOS 26, where they sort of fix these issues since it's very unstable. However, iOS 18.6 seems to be fixing those issues. So it's surprisingly smooth, has better performance, it's very stable and refined. It's fixed most issues other than maybe the wallpaper bug where it desaturates a little bit. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but overall it's pretty good. Now with iOS 26 Beta 3, Apple continues to refine the update. This time around it's definitely improved, but still has some issues here and there. As far as bugs and bug fixes, well, the dock bug is fixed, so maybe we'll remove one here. So we'll move the Mail app out of there, lock everything into place, and then it centers all of the apps in the dock. So that's something where they would stay to the left before, that's since been fixed. So let me move those back around here, get those out of a folder, move those back around, and there we go. Another thing they've fixed is basically the overall bugs that many people were experiencing. Backtap for screenshots works again. The 3-finger gesture to swipe between apps or undo works again. Copying and pasting is working again, where oftentimes maybe I would copy something, go to paste it, and the menu just wouldn't show up. I'd have to try over and over and get it to work again. So it's definitely improvement, but there's still some odd bugs. One of the things, which isn't really a bug, is liquid glass. Many people want to see the older version brought back. Many of you commented about that. But there's some odd issues as well, such as wireless charging. Sometimes people put it on the charger and it does nothing. So maybe you're using it, you go to plug it in, and nothing happens. So if we put it on this charger here, you'll see mine generally will start charging, but then sometimes it won't. So you'll see the charger is activated. There's sort of a blue light there. Place it on there, and of course now I have the bug. Other times it will work, so there we go. Now it's charging. So there was a delay there for who knows what reason, but sometimes you have to reboot your device in order to get that to work properly. So it's definitely an odd issue that we're having. Another problem I had this week is I was traveling and I went to pay with my phone using Apple Pay. I would press the button, try to turn it on, and it took 10 seconds for it to turn on with multiple presses. I thought I was going to do a hard reset, but then it actually finally turned on. So some odd issues there. Sometimes the search bar goes missing in the Contacts app, or the screen will randomly dim on its own. Sometimes the camera will freeze on its own, and there's lag and things throughout. Also, there's app crashes for some. There's odd stuttering when you're using Bluetooth with maybe AirPods or other headphones, and then also just UI glitches here and there. Some have said the sleep app is not tracking properly using the Apple Watch. So there's lots of little issues, but the number one issue mentioned is people really just don't like what they've done with light mode liquid glass this time around. So if we go into, again, light mode and the changes they've made, which is more of a frosted glass, I agree. I would like to see more of the glass effect brought back when you scroll left to right. It looks much, much better. So I would love to see them sort of change that again, and I think they probably will at this point. When it comes to heat and thermals, well, it's better than Beta 2, but still not great. It randomly gets hot, just like it's quite hot right now. So let me just show you with the thermal camera quickly. On iOS 26 Beta 3, you'll see we're at about, well, at the hottest point, around 37.5. I saw this go up to 40 degrees Celsius earlier. On iOS 18.6 Beta 2, it's at about 31.5 degrees Celsius. So definitely much cooler, and both have had the screen on the entire time. Now, if you're wondering if iOS 26 Beta 3 is stable, well, it's not completely stable yet. It's much better, but I wouldn't recommend installing it on your main device at this point. I would hold off until at least the public beta if you wanted to try it out, as that's when Apple sort of deems it good enough to try out if you want to, but you still could have some bugs. So I would hold off at this point if you were considering it. When it comes to performance, well, generally it's pretty good. Where there's occasional lag, though, from time to time, that can be a bit of a pain. So going into the app library, you'll see it seems generally very smooth with maybe ProMotion, but in general, just scrolling through pages and things are fine. But occasionally you'll go into something and it's just extremely laggy. Sometimes it doesn't work right and it just changed wallpaper out of nowhere for really no reason, and I'm not sure why. Unless I was switched to sleep mode here, so let's switch back to Do Not Disturb as it's late at night. And so you can see overall the speed seems okay, but there is that occasional lag that can be frustrating. When it comes to battery life, if we go into battery and then battery health, you'll see I'm still at 99% with 260 cycles. It dropped down from 100 last week at 250 cycles. As far as battery life, as I mentioned, it seems to be a little bit better. If we go here, we used 128% of the battery yesterday, and that was only for 3 hours and 34 minutes of screen active time, 7 hours and 12 minutes of screen idle time. The day before, 95% using 2 hours and 26 minutes of screen active time. So a little bit better than the previous beta, but still not great. It's getting better, I think, but again, there's still some issues from time to time with that. When it comes to benchmarks, I did run that, and I ran it 4 different times, and the 4th time was the best. But you can see all of those here, where the best time was 3,260 for single core, 8,267 for multi-core. It's okay overall. It's well within the margin of error, but we've definitely seen better in the past. So it will probably improve a little bit further with next beta updates, maybe beta 4, beta 5. We can expect it to be much better. When it comes to the overall experience and what you had to say, let's take a look at some of your comments. Matisio Banu 02, hopefully I said that properly, iOS 26 Beta 3 iPhone 13, performance is overall decent. Heavy lag when switching between different wallpapers, some YouTube videos play a green screen, some banking apps still don't work, and noticeable heat during basic tasks. Battery life seems to be slightly more unpredictable than 18.5. I do miss full liquid glass. Hopefully Apple adds a toggle. H. Gorsek said, using my iPhone 16 Pro Max on the betas. Battery is not as good as it was with iOS 18, but nothing terrible. I get around 3.5 to 4.5 hours for around 30% usage of the battery. So beta 3 is not far off what iOS 18 was. Do not like how liquid glass is now, non-existent on beta 3. Toronto LP said, for me, beta 3 is worse than beta 2. My iPhone is slow and gets hot and unresponsive. It feels even slower than beta 1. Battery life is also quite poor, iPhone 14 Pro. Sheldon F. Carlson says, iOS 26 beta 3 on iPhone 14. It's a little worse. Battery drains faster and the phone lags more when I unlock it. I also preferred the liquid glass on beta 2. I would like to see an update where we can select the appearance of the liquid glass. Messiah Production said, 14 Pro Max here on iOS 26 beta 3. It works okay. Many bugs, still the major one being the AirPods connectivity. Seems to disconnect, and the only way for the AirPods to work is for you to reset your phone. XDraho YT said, iOS 18.6 beta 2 is performing really well on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I have encountered zero problems and battery life is really solid. When it comes to liquid glass, this is a significant change. Many people are very frustrated that Apple keeps changing it, and I think they're trying to find a happy medium to make it work well with having contrasting backgrounds. It does change as you scroll up and down, where you can see the background change to sort of contrast what's on the display. So if we go back here, you'll see where it went to white. Since we have a white background, it changed a little bit, and you can see some of that lag here. I think they'll continue to adjust this to make it better, but I do not think they'll bring an adjustment slider for liquid glass. Apple has never been about customization. They've been about design, making the best design, and choosing for you. So I would be very surprised if they actually do that. But iOS 26 beta 3 is a big improvement, and it is getting us closer to the public beta. It has better performance, stability, and some visual changes that many are not a fan of. I do believe Apple, though, will continue to optimize liquid glass again before its release, so I really wouldn't worry too much about that. So that's everything with iOS 26 beta 3 and iOS 18.6 beta 2. Let me know if there's any other features I didn't mention that maybe you've found that I haven't mentioned in other videos as well. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.